If you're serious about growing more food this year, spring is around the corner and now's the time to start thinking about extending your season. A hoop house or tunnel greenhouse, also known as a polytunnel, is one of the best investments to extend your season and in turn increase your food production. And the best part is, if you're on a budget like me, this is an affordable and portable alternative to a permanent greenhouse. It's very easy to set up, move, and adjust as the garden changes. I'll show you 5 ways to use a hoop greenhouse in your garden and how to do it. There are a few simple things to learn in order to take full advantage of the benefits of these greenhouses. Before you rush out to get one of these, there is one big factor to consider, and that is wind. If your garden does get a lot of strong winds, a lightweight greenhouse like this can take a beating, or it could take off and end up in your neighbor's yard. I will show you a few extra steps you can take to reinforce it and also help you decide whether a portable greenhouse like this would be the right choice for your garden if you're trying to decide whether you'd like a more permanent option. There are ways you can build one of these portable greenhouses on your own from scratch, but unless you already have the materials on hand, it would probably cost a lot more to DIY build a large one than it would be to have everything shipped to you in one box. Quictent sent this one to me last fall before Hurricane Helene's flooding happened, and it took me this long to get it set up because I had to move all of my raised beds, regrade the terrain, add French drains, and rebuild the garden after my recent move. Last year was a rough year, and I'm excited to be sitting here inside this greenhouse making videos again. You can really turn a greenhouse like this into a relaxing space in your garden. In my previous garden, I successfully grew lettuce and spinach through the winter in raised beds under DIY hoop houses. They weren't super complicated to build, but they were not super easy either. And this year, I just needed a much simpler option. Quictent, for example, offers greenhouses in quite a few different sizes, and their customer service is fantastic. So if you were to contact them, they could help you find a size that would be a good fit for your garden. This hoop greenhouse is 10 feet by 20 feet, and I love finally having a walk-in option. And stay tuned until the end because I'm gonna show you a few ways you could help one of these stand up to wind. The first and maybe most obvious way a hoop greenhouse can help you grow more food is to extend your growing season and overwinter. Even an unheated one protects crops from freezing temperatures, allowing you to start planting earlier in the spring and then harvest later into the fall. In milder climates like we have here in South Carolina, it can even enable year-round growing for certain crops. If you live in a colder climate and maybe you'd like to experiment with harvesting carrots through the winter, perhaps a raised bed underneath a hoop greenhouse would give you that option. I made a video about when to plant carrots for winter harvest if you'd like to explore that. In my experience, a hoop house can increase the inside temperature by at least 10 to 30 degrees warmer than the outside temperature, depending on several factors. On sunny days, temperatures inside can rise significantly, sometimes by 30 degrees or more compared to outside. On sunny days in the middle of winter, I've recorded temperatures over 100 in my hinged hoop house over a raised bed. It is very nice to have windows and doors that you can easily open to provide ventilation. A double layer of plastic with air insulation can retain more heat and provide an extra 5 to 15 degrees of warmth at night. Bricks or other heat-absorbing materials can help store heat during the day and then release it at night. Without sunlight, on a cloudy day like this, the temperature inside the hoop house may only be about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than the outside. If you add row covers inside or supplemental heating, you can protect plants even more. So here's what all this means for winter growing. In mild climates like here in South Carolina, a hoop house can keep cold hardy crops like greens and herbs growing all winter without extra heat. In colder regions, it may require extra insulation like row covers to protect against deep freezes. A key point to remember is that there are shorter days and much less intense sunlight during the winter, so growth is going to slow way down until spring approaches. You're just not going to see the rapid and constant growth that you see with crops in the spring and in the summer. But if you can keep established salad crops alive for a month or two into the winter and harvest all of it, that is definitely a win in my book. It's best to start in late fall or early winter with established seedlings in a hoop greenhouse. Some lettuce varieties that grow better than others in winter light include Arctic King, Winter Density, and Winter Marvel. The second way a hoop greenhouse can help you grow more food is to provide shade. When the weather really heats up, it's a quick and easy process to just remove the plastic cover and store it for the summertime, and then swap it out with shade cloth. And then you have a space where you can protect plants from scalding sun. I've had lettuces and cilantro last a lot longer in my garden in the summer when I've provided shade cloth. It can also protect plants like tomatoes and peppers from sun scald, and then help increase production when temperatures really rise in the summer. I'm excited to have this hoop house structure to incorporate shade cloth this summer. The third way a hoop greenhouse can help you grow more food is to provide pest protection. If you're like me and you live in an area where squash vine borers are a big problem, putting netting over the hoops during the summer would keep them out. I've tried this on a smaller scale over some of my raised beds, and although it was effective, it was really tough to access the plants to hand pollinate. And that's the thing, if you're covering plants during the summer, you're going to need to account for pollination if you're not growing self-pollinating crops. If you're counting on feeding your family through the winter with produce like squash, hand pollinating is a small price to pay. I've had my pole bean crops decimated by deer in the past, and if you have this issue, perhaps having a safe space like this could help. The fourth way a hoop greenhouse can help you increase production in your garden is by providing a seed starting space and a hardening off space. A hoop greenhouse could be a space for starting seeds, especially if you don't have room indoors. I've started seeds indoors here in South Carolina for 12 years, always using heat mats for peppers and tomatoes to boost germination, and then removing them once they sprout. These seedlings thrive at around 70 degrees, but they do struggle when the temperature drops below 55, so temperature control is key. Indoors, grow lights provide consistent light. In an unheated hoop greenhouse, you need to monitor both temperature and sunlight because seedlings can become leggy without adequate light. Cold hardy crops like lettuce and brassica seedlings may do well in an unheated greenhouse. Ventilation, though, is crucial for all crop varieties since sunny days can actually cause overheating. At the very least, even if you were to start your seeds indoors, you could transplant them into containers like grow bags or raised beds and then move them out into the greenhouse for a head start on the season. It's also a great space for hardening off your seedlings and getting them acclimated gradually before transplanting them out in the raw elements. The fifth way a hoop greenhouse can help you out in your garden is by giving you extra space to store your tools. It can double as a garden storage space, especially if you need a weather protected area to keep your essentials organized. I'm planning to set up a potting bench for seed starting, transplanting, and soil mixing. It's a nice space to keep essentials close to your planting areas to eliminate trips back and forth, and it just adds to the relaxing atmosphere of the garden space. This is my designated space right here, and it's where I come to think, have peace, and work on my garden things. Here are a couple of things I've done to protect my hoop greenhouse from high winds. I've only tested this greenhouse in winds up to 40 miles per hour, so if you often get stronger gusts, a more permanent option might be better. Some gardeners reinforce hoop houses with wooden frames for extra stability. The key is preventing wind from getting inside. I tucked the cover under the frame, weighed down the door panels with rocks, and then used both the included stakes and heavy-duty rebar anchors. This type of greenhouse is flexible, but anchoring it on a flat surface helps keep it secure. A hoop greenhouse is one of the best ways to extend your growing season, protect your crops, and maximize food production without the high cost of a permanent structure. Whether you're going to use it to start seeds, grow through the winter, provide shade, or store tools, it's a versatile addition to any garden. If you're dealing with high winds, take the extra steps to secure it properly or consider a reinforced or more permanent option. Either way, having a space like this can transform the way you grow food. As always, thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you're going to use a greenhouse in your garden.